welcome back to Lobel Spark. Yeah, you're right, I'm not Lobel. So, some of you will know me. I step in occasionally. I am up for the challenge. I also have my own podcast called the It's Good to Talk podcast, and me and Lobel do interact quite a bit. We met through mental health, and so every now and again, if Lobel is busy, I will step in as a guest host. Now, usually when I'm a guest host, I have somebody else with me, but I don't, because unfortunately they were ill, the person I was hoping for. So it is a solo podcast. Now, the fun thing about this is what I'm actually going to be talking about is friendship. Now, if you've seen me and Lobel talking at all, even in the last probably month or so, we do tend to talk quite a bit about the impact of friendship and mental health. Some people are probably sick of it by now, but it is something we should really interact with more and understand. But when we do that, we should look at the quality of it, because I think we do underestimate just how helpful friendship can be, just how much it can really impact onto everything. And when I say friendship as well, I'm not being as specific about just friends. I'd actually include, personally, I don't know if this is the case for Lobel, but I know for me, I would actually include colleagues and acquaintances. Now, people might find that strange because, well, no, you just need your good friends around you. It's only good friends. And, you know, you see those TikTok things of this is the only friend you need around you, the one that you ask to do whatever you want, and, you know, whose car do we take, if you've seen that one. But I actually think just having colleagues, having those people that you interact with, those acquaintances, can be really helpful as well. Now, an obvious thing for this could be simply that you have a normal cafe, a normal pub, a normal whatever it is that you go to. Now, some people might go, okay, well, we'll have a local, especially if you're English, you have a local you go to. And beyond that, it's like, well, yeah, but what do you get out of that? Well, for a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about myself or my age range or Lobel's, we are pretty much the same age, but also for a lot of older people, will find a lot of solace in interaction with their local pub, their local cafe. Now, we see this so much in things online. We saw a lot during 2020 and, you know, COVID and all the shutdown and everything, that there was a lot of people that suffered from massive loneliness and really, really struggled with loneliness. These were people that weren't necessarily seen as those that suffered from mental health issues. It wasn't, you know, these were people that would have said, you know, I don't have any issues at all, it's fine. But that's because there was a routine. There was an acquaintance you saw on the way to work. All right, Bob. There was someone you saw in the morning when you went for your first pint, or you went and had breakfast. Let's say you went to a Wetherspoons in the UK, which serves breakfast, and you had breakfast, and there's that old guy in the corner. You know, all right, Cyril. And Cyril would maybe not talk, maybe talk, but he'd be there at the end of the bar, having his pint and his breakfast and just chatting to people. That means so much. So it's not just the friends that are there every time. It's not just the friends that are going to be there at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's those acquaintances. It's those faces that you see every day. How many of you notice when someone that you usually see is gone? The neighbour that you used to talk to, that old guy that was in the bar, that same order that you had every day when you worked in a restaurant, worked at a cafe, that same person come and have the same thing. It can mean so much, and it can get to us way more than we realise. Like I say, during COVID, there was a lot of people that hit loneliness when they had never really come across it before because they had their routine. And routine can be incredibly important. And when we take that away because we don't have the same acquaintances there every day, it can really hit us. There's so many accounts of older people going and having their breakfast at the same place, their lunch at the same place, and then you rename that sandwich that they have all the time. Well, that's now the Michael sandwich because old Mike, he comes in here every day. Or there was one that I heard about where they basically put this old guy onto kind of TikTok and showed, you know, we have this same old guy, he's a lovely bloke, you know, he's been here all the time. And effectively, TikTok paid for him to have that for the rest of his life. He never had to pay for it again because he meant something to the staff there. And the staff there meant something to him. That's why he went back. Now, would they call themselves friends? Probably not. You know, very, very good acquaintances and a face that you recognise, but not really friends. So it is important, I think, to recognise friends in all of their facets, whether that's a good friend, a close friend, one that you would travel to see, one that you'll pick up the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning for, but also Bob down the road. That, oh, yeah, I'll help you move the bins, don't worry, Bob, I know you got a bad back. It's those kind of people that can really impact our daily lives. So yes, of course, having friends, having close friends and really interacting with them and building success around yourself with them is an amazing thing to do. But I think we need to also recognize just how much our acquaintances, the people that we enjoy the company of, can mean to us as well, beyond just simple friendship. Because we aren't just thinking in terms of our success and long term a lot of the time. We can really be thinking in the short term. How bad does your day feel when you haven't seen the same person you usually do? It just feels off, right? Well, I always see Mary, Bob, Brian, whoever it is, on my way to work. I always have that friendly hello. You know, it picks you up in the morning. Now you haven't had a friendly hello. You haven't had a, you all right? How you doing, mate? You haven't had that today. Suddenly, maybe you're not down, but you feel a little bit off. And that can really impact your day. So I think there's so many simple things that we miss in terms of mental health. And I think the diversity of friendship, the diversity of human connection is so important, because we don't realize what impact we truly have on other people, because it's huge. We have huge impact on other people. And when you care to say hello, when you care to check in with someone, when you care to go to the same place you usually do because you enjoy the company, when you care to ring someone, that's really important. And of course, we can span that out again to family. Family, our friends. I think a few of us need to be a bit more honest about it. Probably not. Now, that's not always the case. Oftentimes you can have really true friendships in families. A lot of the time they are family. There's a different dynamic. Doesn't mean that it's bad, it just means it's different. And so checking in with your mum, with your dad, with your sister, your brother, your auntie, your uncle, your niece, your nephew can mean something. I used to check in quite a bit with one of my nieces. I have several. And I used to check in and just be like, how you doing? Because I noticed that they were watching my mental health content. It's like, okay, let's see if they're okay. A simple check-in on family, a simple, you know, just being there can mean so much. It's really important to understand this, because I think it's something we really don't interact with enough. I don't know, there's probably people thinking, oh my God, we get it, you've droned on about it, and you and Lobel always do this every time it's friendship, and blah, 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 blah. But have you got the message? We've mentioned it before, but did you listen? Because we don't. We interact with this, and I've said this before, I'm not a big proponent to the idea that mental health has got that much better in the past 20, 30 years. Because we say it's important, we say we understand, then we clearly don't. COVID, again, was a big realization for a lot of people that we don't. Because if we did get it, if we did make sure of our connections, so many people would not have felt lonely, would not have felt anxious, would not have felt so cut off during COVID, because they'd have known how to interact besides that daily thing. But they didn't. Friendship, acquaintances, family are all so important to who we are. And it's so important for us to recognize that. It's not just those close friendships that hold all the weight. They are important, but you need to foster this idea of connection with so many more people. Don't just put all of your eggs in one basket, as we'd say in the UK. You've got to look at your close connections, yes. You've got to look at the acquaintances. You've got to see how you are impacted, and conversely, how you impact on them. Because if you draw yourself back for some reason, that's had an impact on somebody else. Now, because you've had an impact on somebody else, what impact have they had on somebody else? And them on somebody else? And this domino effect all the way down the line. Because truly we are social creatures. Now, I'm saying this as somebody that isn't overly social when I'm in the UK. I travel a lot, but when I'm in the UK, I'm not very social. I'm not. But if I'm forced to be separated and I can't just go out and say hello to Pete next door or whatever, then I'm going to feel more and more alone. And that's something important to understand. We are social creatures, whether we admit it to ourselves or not, whether we are social in general or not. The impact we have on everyone around us, either as our friend, our acquaintance, our neighbour, everything is so important. I think we'll do it there. Just a quick one, which Lobo will be happy about. I'm sure many of you will be happy about because, oh my God, thank God, he's finally shut up. And I'm well aware. Lobo enjoys the shorter podcast, so he's always a fan of that. But I thought it was just important to recognise what friendship can truly mean. Friendship is not just those close connections. Friendship spans out. Connection is important. And actually, me and Lobo talked about this before, that it's the one line I don't like from Muppets Christmas Carol, where it says, to understand the measure of a man, you simply count his friends. And I don't like that because it talks about it simply as a number rather than quality. And the quality of a connection with a stranger or acquaintance can be so much stronger than with someone who simply calls you a friend. Because sometimes that's the connection that gets you up in the morning. That's the one that puts you in the good mood for work. That's the one that means when you go back and see your family, friends, everything else, you're already in a good mood because of that one person that said, "You all right, darling? Yeah. I'll see you again tomorrow." Simple things really do have an impact. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you haven't, I understand. I'm not Lobo. I'm not the same. This is a very different podcast of mine. But I hope you have enjoyed that. And Lobo will be back with you as soon as it can be. He's just a little bit busy at the moment. We all get busy at different times. If it's not him, it may be me again, but hopefully we'll have someone else, so you don't just get me wittering on. But I hope you have an amazing rest of the week. If you haven't said hello to your neighbour in a while, maybe go and say hello to them. Let them know they're there. Let them know that you've recognised them. That's all so many people need. So maybe do that on the way to work. And hope you enjoy the rest of the week. And we'll see you again next time. Thanks, everyone.